is Part A is the 44 Canada Crescent easement for the fibre optic cable. We didn't have any problem with that at all. But when we actually went to look at the site, it was very, very difficult to identify. There was no street numbers, and it's clearly been used as a business for quite a long time. None of our board members were aware that there was actually a road designation through that area at all, but other than that, we're quite happy for the cable to go through.
So there's a business on this road, isn't there?
Yeah, if you have a look at the...
No, don't worry, it's fine.
There has been operating there for quite a long time.
Okay, can I put that one? Jimmy moves, Jamie seconds. Put that. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Item 2, Haskett's Road.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. As you're aware of the history of this site, it was purchased by the City Council to remedy some aspects of noise that neighbours found to be a bit uncomfortable. So the City Council did buy those properties. The rural zoning of those properties is quite interesting historically. It's rural 5 zoning, which is the most sensitive rural zone, noise sensitive rural zoning that you could have, and it happens to be right beside a motorsport park. So that made it a bit difficult right from the word go. So I think the city plan process, Madam Mayor and councillors, may be an opportunity to have that land rezoned. And then if the City Council were of a mind to sell it sometime in the future, no doubt its value would be a lot higher if it didn't have a rural 5 zoning. So that's just a point. The other point I'd like to make in relation to that too is, one of our previous submitters, Sarah Harnett, mentioned the interest of Fulton Hogan, and as you can see on 4.5 of our report on page 117 that Fulton Hogan are already interested in and are extracting gravel from the site directly opposite these properties, and would like to purchase the property at 7 Haskett's Road as well for the same reason. So I think there is a reason to be concerned about that. And 4.19 relates to sport, and I believe there is still opportunities, if that land isn't sold in the immediate future, for a sporting activity, not, may I say, not motorsport, but I just don't want to say what it is yet because it's a little bit commercially sensitive, but there is interest in a block of land there in that location for sport. So we did consider what's the best way to handle this, and we agreed that the best thing to do would be to hold off, see what comes out of the district plan review, and okay, take it from there. So
thank you. Yeah. So we basically have your submission on that, and both submitters. Yes. Even though one of the submitters is part of your organisation, right? But she wasn't appearing in that role. Yep. Yes, you may, Jimmy. Not to staff. What sort of staff would you like?
Also, one question is, if we sell this property, however, the plan change 52 is still undertaking the mediation. So whether the council have any legal liability is my first question.
Ivan. Well, he's general all-rounder.
You've been upgraded, Ivan.
Okay, the issue with PC 52 is that it is in mediation, as members have heard, and these sites are not, they're not part of the open space 3 zone, which is this prime area affected by PC 52, but they are directly affected by that plan change because there are restrictions on what that land can be used for as a result of noise restrictions. So, I mean, I've come here in response to the original recommendation of the board to delay this sale until the district plan review is over. So there are 2 points I want to make. One is that PC 52, Plan Change 52, once it's operative, doesn't go back in for any more hearings. So it goes through the mediation and it's adopted by the Environment Court,
Yes.
and that is it. It doesn't come back as phase 2 of the district plan review. The commissioners, the hearings panel have nothing more to do with it. So that's an important thing to remember. The properties are, of course, Rural 5. Rural 5 is part of phase 2, but it is difficult to untangle the future use of these properties from PC 52 because they are affected by the noise restrictions emanating from the car club facility. I've got other comments to make, but the answer to your question is that PC 52 is in mediation.
Yes.
These properties aren't directly affected by that mediation, but there is a risk that discussing these properties could, we do run the risk of contaminating the mediation by discussing them.
Right, okay.
But having said that, from a planning perspective, I don't think selling the properties is necessarily, or delaying the sale is necessarily an issue, provided that the future use of those properties is properly protected and respects PC 52. I mean, whether the council owns it, whether a private landowner owns it, is probably not the point. I mean, it's not the point as far as the future use goes. It is the future use of those properties which have got to be managed. So they can't have houses on them, and they can't have activities which generate more noise. That's basically that.
They can't even have houses.
Although, no, absolutely not. No,
Right.
the houses, I mean, Justin will comment on this, obviously, but the houses will be taken away. I mean, the reason the council bought them was to get the houses out of there because they are subject to unacceptable noise.
Okay, okay. Jimmy, you got another
Yes.
question?
But I'm a bit confused. You mentioned earlier PC 52, the mediation result is absolutely direct affected by the plan change. But after you explained, it's non-business with the phase 2 of the district plan review. So
Yes.
confused. What's the difference?
Yeah, it is a quite a delicate distinction here. Plan Change 52 mainly restricts activities on the Ruapuna car club site. There are lots of rules, but it also affects properties in the Rural 5 zone because it requires noise-sensitive properties to be insulated. So it does touch upon those rural properties, but the point I'm making is the ownership of those properties probably doesn't really affect PC 52, and other than whether the council wants to have direct control over the future use of them. But if a future landowner acquired these properties, they would be restricted as to what they could do with those properties.
Okay.
So they couldn't be housing, there couldn't be any other noise-sensitive uses, and they certainly couldn't generate any more noise. They'd have to be very benign as far as noise goes, because that would completely contaminate all the Plan Change 52 noise restraints. So you've got very scientific noise calculations underpinning Plan Change 52. So any other noise activities that go in there will completely blow Plan Change 52 apart, and we'd have to be starting again. So however those properties are used, cannot be used for any activities that will generate significant amounts of noise.
Ivan, when does the decision expected on PC 52?
Well, we are going back to mediation again in October, early October. Depending on that, if the parties settle, then a consent order could be before the court, well before Christmas. If the parties do not settle, then the Environment Court would need to set down a hearing date, which could be later this year or early next year, and a decision would be perhaps 6 months away, something like that.
And is the key determinant in here the decision of the Environment Court or the settlement under Plan Change 52 rather than the district plan?
The key decision really, well, as far as Plan Change 52 goes, the key point, I think, is that once Plan Change 52 is made operative by the council following the Environment Court, then it doesn't go into our replacement plan. Well, it does. It goes into the replacement plan, but it cannot be subject to any more submissions.
Right.
That's the first point. And part of that is those noise levels around Ruapuna in the Rural 5 zone. They cannot be recontested either.
Right. So the key determinant is actually the outcome of Plan Change 52 rather than the district plan.
Oh, it is more relevant than the district plan review, in my opinion.
So in terms of the rationale behind this, it should be that given that while we wait for Plan Change 52 or something, rather than the second part of the district plan review?
Well, yes, although again the properties probably aren't, with certain caveats, aren't really affected by, they can be affected by Plan Change 52.
Okay, so it doesn't matter much.
But it's a real question of balance, if you know what I mean.
Okay, I'm sorry, Pauline.
Just a question for Board Chair Mike. We've got no time frame in there in the deferral. Would it be a good idea to look at putting some sort of time frame of how long to defer it? And one of the things also I liked from that submission was not only looking at constraints on any future use of that land should it be sold to stop producing more noise, but actually it could be used to actually mitigate the noise from the track. So would you consider looking at some kind of a guide for the time frame there?
Well, I think, as we discussed at the time, that we'd probably prefer to see what happens through the district plan review and what opportunities there are after that. And as I mentioned earlier, if the zone through the city plan review was to be altered from Rural 5, it could make that land a lot more valuable. If it could allow activities such as light engineering or something like that, so that people aren't living in that area.
But it can't, can it?
But, so that's just, it's all of those questions that we just need to...
But can we be clear from Ivan, can it ever allow that?
If the zoning was changed.
Well, yeah, a submission would have to be accepted by the hearings panel to change the zoning, and that would be assessed on its merits. But whatever zoning was put in place would have to provide for uses very similar to a rural zone, or uses or activities which would not generate any more noise, or activity which would either affect the residents or affect the amount of noise that the Canterbury Car Club can generate.
So in answer to Pauline's question to you, Ivan, this time to you, Ivan, what's a reasonable period of time for us to delay this decision, to defer this decision? What makes most sense?
Well, I mean, I don't see any reason why you need to delay it on planning grounds, but if we were going to delay it, probably the mediation, the end of the Environment Court process would be the most sensible approach. I don't think there is a need necessary to wait for the district plan review, which is April 2016.
Yeah, I tend to agree. So if we looked at sort of April 2015, to revisit it?
That one would hope that the current court proceedings would be finished well before then, yes.
Right, okay. So maybe if we deferred it until after the current court proceedings are finished, would that be sensible?
That would provide a little more clarity as to, yes, the outcome of Plan Change 52.
Okay. Okay, right. Sorry, Phil.
Thanks, Ivan. I just want to clarify, like that, in terms of, I guess, processes, that sounds the best way forward. Would there, though, be any advantages for the residents who are concerned, affected by the noise, if in fact it was delayed longer until the district plan was reviewed by the commissioners?
If the sale of the land was delayed longer, well, it might enable other options to be considered through various processes. For example, I know that the deputation mentioned planting of trees. That's something which is outside the Plan Change 52 process. Really, that's a capital expenditure decision for the council based on noise evidence as to how effective that would be. But yeah. I mean, I suppose as long as the status quo stays the same, the longer it stays the same, the better off the residents will be, from that point of view.
Just one other question, though, just in terms of, say, for example, the planting of trees, would that have to wait until the district plan was reviewed? Or could it happen earlier?
The planting of trees is, in my opinion anyway, beyond the scope of the Plan Change 52 proceedings. It is a mitigation measure, but I need to get noise advice on how effective that would be. But that is something which is not part of the rules or policies or objectives of Plan Change 52. It is a separate issue.
Okay. Did you have another question?
No, it just sounds that in summary there could be some advantages in terms of getting the best results by a longer delay in terms of the eventual outcomes and the eventual results. Is that what you? Well,
not necessarily from a district planning perspective. I don't think it's necessarily matters whether the ownership changes now or in the future, as long as the activities that end up on the site don't do what I was saying before, either create a problem out there which is going to either upset the Canterbury Car Club or the residents.
Okay, I've got Yanni next, then Andrew.
Can I say, I just think the resolution that you've got in terms of the environment, I'm really happy for that just to be put. I just can't see any benefit given that it's currently in mediation and we don't know what the outcome of that plan change is going to be. So once it's been resolved, I think we'll be a lot better informed about what choices we make and what questions we might have as staff.
Right, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to move what's been proposed.
Right, that's fine. I'll just let Andrew ask his question.
Just looking at this in a wide context, it would appear that the benefit to leaving this until after the district plan review has been completed would be two things. It would give additional certainty around future use of the land, which would quite possibly benefit a better outcome in terms of the sale, but more importantly, it gives the opportunity for community input into the future use of the land as well through the district plan review process. So I don't know whether we can get some staff comment on whether I'm right in saying that.
Well, certainly, yes. It would buy time to do that. It would involve the community more. The rural 5, or the rural zones would have been settled. I cannot comment on the outcome of any submissions that would be made to those rural zones in that area, but yes, that is a possibility that you're suggesting. That would,
okay.
You'd have more information, and it's always any decision. The longer you leave it, the more information you have. It's a matter of.
Okay, can I suggest that we're actually in agreement on deferring it? We're just looking at a timeline on where it goes, and we'll just do that by show of hands in a minute.
I was going to say that deferring it to the end of the Environment Court process, it could still be revisited after that and deferred to the district plan if we want to, so it doesn't preclude it still waiting for the outcome of the district plan.
So can I suggest, as a motion that Yanni's just put, as a way of dealing with this, that we start with that the council defer any decision on the future of the properties in Hasketts Road, which is the subject of this report, until after the current Environment Court processes have been completed. If you're in favour of that, vote for that. If you're not, we'll then put the one about the notification of the district plan review, and we'll have a go at that one. Is that okay as a process? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Tim's seconding Yanni's. Probably Jimmy wanted to. But It's okay, it's absolutely fine, it's not a problem. Okay, so this is not actually the board recommendation, this is a resolution from the council, that the council, and it's the second part of what's in front of you, that the council deferring decision until after the current Environment Court processes. Okay, moved Diani, seconded Tim. Can I put that? Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carried. Right, okay, that's obviously the bit that's carried. We don't need to worry about the second bit. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ivan.